Hey friends, it's Wilk, and before we get started with this week's episode, I want to mention a couple things real quick about a couple affiliates. Affiliates help me keep the show going, and by you using the services of one of our affiliates, I get a little kickback at no extra cost to you. So if you've ever thought about starting a podcast, Buzzsprout is a great place to start. They have some phenomenal tools, and starting a podcast is a lot easier when you've got the right tools. So join over 100,000 other people who've started a podcast with Buzzsprout, and if you click the link to them in our show notes, I'll get a little bit of something for every paid membership. So I would really appreciate that. Helps a lot to support the show. Also, online grocery shopping, it's a big thing right now, especially with the pandemic and the lockdowns and people, being sketchy about going out in the public. If you want to do some grocery shopping at home in a quick, convenient way and have that stuff delivered to your house, check out Instacart. Instacart is a phenomenal way for people to buy groceries online and have them conveniently delivered to their house. So, again, in our show notes, check out one of the banner ads, check out the links. Instacart is a great way to do a little bit of online grocery shopping and have it conveniently delivered to your house. So with that, we're going to dive right into the show. Welcome back, my friends, to the Derate the Hate podcast. I am Wilk from wilksworld.com, and I think we're going to call this episode, What's Your Thing? I'm not totally stuck on that title yet, but we're going to free flow this one, and it might change before the day is over, or before the episode is over, rather. But, hey, first I want to ask, what have you done today to make your life a better life? What have you done today to make the world a better place? I got to tell you, I'm going to be completely honest here, and I'm having a little bit of a rough go of it this week with a couple different things, and I will tell you that I've been staying very positive, or trying to stay very positive with with the whole pandemic thing and all the negativity in the news and the completely dysfunctional election and well, at this point it's a completely dysfunctional political system, and I do better on some days than others. I'm gonna be completely honest, and I just want everybody to know that everybody's going through something, right? Everybody's going through something. Always, everybody's got something. What's your thing? I tell you what, my thing. I'm really sad to see what is going on, and I don't mean the specifics of the complete mess that is come of this election, the complete mess that has come of our political parties, the complete mess that this pandemic is. All those things are, they're relative. But what's really bugging me the most these days is the way people are treating each other. The way people are treating each other of different opinions and different viewpoints. One of the things that I've talked a lot about in this podcast, or the Derate the Hate podcast as a whole, really is, people being able to get along when they have differing opinions. People of different. I don't care whether it's different political backgrounds, different religious backgrounds, the ideology that comes with those things. People of different races and ethnicities and things like that. We are in some very turbulent times these days, and I think if we have any chance of getting out of this. This time that we're or these turbulent times that we're dealing with, and coming out on the other side of the hill, looking at blue skies and beautiful days, we really have to start to empathize with those whom we don't agree. The fact of the matter is for the past several years we've listened to the loudest voices, telling us that if we support one candidate or the other, we're evil and things like that. And again, I do not want the Derate the Hate podcast to be about politics, and I'm not going to make it about politics. What I am making it about is how we relate to one another. And the reality of it is, most of the people out there are good people. I truly believe that. I don't. I think human nature has serious flaws, and I think human nature, we need to overcome our human nature to be good people. But I think the vast majority of people, especially in this country, have been able to do that, and we've been able to do it very well. But I don't believe those people who are the best people have the biggest platform. I don't think the best people are the ones that have the loudest voice and are always heard, which I think hurts us. I think on social media, if you look at social media, whether it be Twitter or Facebook or I don't know what are some of the other ones. I think Parler's a new one. You got YouTube, which I think is owned by Google. All that big media, all the social media things, the social media platforms have just turned into a dumpster fire of hate, misinformation, and lies. I've talked about that before, but once the platforms themselves took over the role of publisher and started determining what we could see and what we couldn't see, and who was going to have the loudest voice and who was going to get promoted the most, and things like that, things really started taking a turn, and it really hurt us as people. I don't think it was doing us a whole lot of favors in the first place, but when that started happening, it really did a disservice to people and how we relate to each other, and I think it exacerbated the divide between us. I think it hurt a lot of people and drove people into opposing corners a lot more than it really needed to. And I think that stuff is getting to me a little bit, and I really, I'd love to get your opinion on how you think we can get away from that. I'm not a huge pop culture guy. I don't watch television hardly at all. I read a lot of news stories. I get a lot of information that way. But like I said, with things being filtered through those who wish, or have a certain agenda. I mean, you never know anymore. The media can't be trusted. Big tech can't be trusted. So it's really hard to know if you're getting the right information. So now you combine that with the fact that we're on these lockdowns, the lockdowns that we're at. We can't get out and socialize like we used to do. The human being is a very, very social creature, and as such, we need to be out amongst the people, out doing things, to really fulfill our life, have a fulfilled life. We're not simply on this earth just to, get from point A to point B like most animals. Most animals, they're born, they just do their thing on a daily basis just to get through the day and live, and they do that until the day they die, and then it's over. I don't believe that American people, but more specifically human beings in general, are here for that. I don't think that's the way that works. So, when I say, when I started this out, I said this was going to be a free flow kind of episode, and it most definitely is. It's just kind of a stream of consciousness right now. But what's your thing? What is your reason for waking up in the morning? What really does it for you? Because for me it's liberty, my family, God. These are the big things for me. I want to live a very fulfilled life. I want to, be an awesome husband for my wife, a great father for my children. I want to do things. I want to get out and live. Liberty is literally, there is no bigger thing for me. I'm very much a Thomas Paine kind of person. Give me liberty or give me death. There's a lot of people right now who, have foregone their liberty and just surrendered their liberty. And while they, who knows how long it's going to be. I mean, it started out as 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Now it's all of a sudden 10 months to whatever. And so for a lot of people, their thing is, their health. It's health. They'll completely surrender their liberties. They'll lock themselves down in their house. They'll avoid all contact with all other human beings. It's their health. For some people, it's money. Some people surrender their whole lives for a career because it's all about chasing that almighty dollar, and they who knows what they're sacrificing. They're sacrificing time with their family. They're sacrificing, things that they could be doing, with friends and other people. For some people, it's all about a career. That's their passion. Their passion is literally their definition of success is getting to the top of the ladder in whatever profession they chose to go into. That's some people's thing. Like I said, my thing is liberty. What we need to understand, and like I mentioned earlier, everybody's going through something. Everybody's going through something, and we have to realize, and we have to empathize. We've got to understand that it's not, because it's not our thing, doesn't mean that it's wrong. Because it's not our thing doesn't mean we can't, appreciate or empathize what that thing is for that person. If somebody's totally set on staying home and staying away from other people or wearing a mask or whatever, and that's their thing. Hey, that's their thing. I get it. But just understand that what brought you to that level of emotion that made that your biggest priority is not necessarily top on the priority list for that other person that you might see that's not wearing a mask or whatever, and just because you think it's settled science, or because some politician or some joker on the news or some article said that it's settled science that lockdowns work and masks work and everything else. Well, there's a whole lot of people. There's a whole lot of information. There's an article I read this past week. There's a declaration out that's been signed by 43,000 epidemiologists worldwide right now that say the lockdowns and the masks and everything are doing more harm than good. Now, granted, that information doesn't get out to the mainstream like others, because there's a vested interest on another side that doesn't want that information out there. But just realize that there's people like me who my thing is liberty. My big thing is liberty. Your big thing is health. Somebody else's big thing is their business. Businesses that now have been decimated by the government's reaction to the pandemic. And that's their thing. But just realize, because it's not your thing doesn't mean it's not somebody's thing. Somebody's very, very passionate about that. Somebody's very, for me, I'm as passionate about liberty and being able to do what I want to do as you are about health and following the dictates of your governor or some faraway politician in Washington or some selected epidemiologist of the day, because for whatever reason. Okay, I'm as passionate about liberty as you're as passionate about your health, and we have to realize that I'm going off of something other than you, and my passion is as real to me as your passion is to you, and if we're going to continue to fight over those things, because really, when it comes down to it, it's an emotional struggle, and when two people are struggling based on emotions, you're really not going to get anywhere. because as I've said before, if a person cannot control their emotions, if they cannot act on reason and logic, and they're going to act on emotion, no party is going to win. It's not going to happen. So realize my thing is my passion. Your thing is your passion. And because those two things aren't the same doesn't mean we have to be enemies. We have to respect each other's passion. We have to respect each other's thing if we have any chance of coming out of this thing better on the other side. And I really think, like I said, I started off by saying, there's a lot of people, most of the people out there, most people are good people, because we're raised to be good. We're built to be good. We're not inherently good. Those moral values mean we have to treat each other with kindness if we want to live in a civilized world. I'll give you another example. Like I said, with the whole political thing, we've spent the last 4 years being told, certain people are being told, they're racist and sexist and xenophobic and homophobic and whatever because they support one certain candidate. With no regard to who that person is, they're just put in that box. We've talked about this before. And the other side is being told they're whatever. Quite honestly, it's silly. But this last election proved, while there's a lot in dispute, it proved that the country is very much split, very close, right down the middle, right? Okay, so we can either say, I hate you and you hate me and we're just all going to fight, or we can figure out how to say, that's your thing and this is my thing, and somehow we're going to learn how to respect each other and live a civilized and peaceful life, and meet somewhere in the middle, or we're in for a whole lot more hate, and that's all there is to it. Now, if you truly believe, I don't think any reasonable-minded human being can look at 70-some million people and say, yeah, you're all racist and sexist and xenophobic and homophobic. No reasonable-minded person can believe that. And I again, going on the other side, I don't think any reasonable-minded person can look at 70-some million other people and say, you're all about total government control and full-on socialism, communism. But I don't believe that all those people are in that bucket either. I don't believe it. What I do believe is the vast majority of people are good people, and people just need to talk to each other rather than sit in their own echo chambers and listen to their own listen to the only listen to the people that totally agree with them. So if you don't get out of that echo chamber, you're never going to find out what their thing is. And if you don't find out what their thing is, you cannot find any common ground. So just realize my thing may not be the same as your thing, but we're going to have to figure out how to make my thing and your thing work together, or there's going to be a whole lot of pain going forward. There's just no doubt about it. So with that, this definitely drug on a lot longer than I thought it was going to, but hey, that happens on the Derate the Ape podcast sometimes, right? But hopefully you got something out of it. With that, I am going to dive into this week's feel-good story. This week's feel-good story I picked because it, frankly, it made me feel good. It's got a couple things in it that really put a smile on my face. It starts out in Holly Hill, Florida, which Florida, anybody who's listened to me or knows me knows I got a special place in my heart for Florida. Holly Hill, Florida is a place where I spent time, a little town up by Daytona Beach, Florida. I lived for several years. I lived about 13 years in the state of Florida. Spent a lot of time running around in Daytona and Holly Hill, and had a great time. Always had a great time when I was up in Holly Hill. So starts out in Holly Hill, Florida. A gal, 91-year-old gal by the name of Lois Carter wanted to do something. She was looking for a way. She does a lot of knitting, okay, and Lois Carter wanted to do something good during the pandemic, something to pass the time because she was locked down in her home. Again, the lockdowns are doing a lot of things to a lot of people, and she wanted something that she could do, something that could make her feel good. And so she decided to put her skills to work, and started knitting hats. And then, she first started out, she was going to knit a few hats. She had a dozen or a couple dozen hats laying around, and she wanted to donate them. And then all of a sudden she had the idea she wanted to donate them to somebody that could put them to use. And that's where the other part of this story comes in that, again, has a special place in my heart. So she decided she was going to knit a bunch of hats and donate them to the St. Joseph's Indian School in Chamberlain, South Dakota. So, again, anybody who's listened to me or knows me knows I have a special place in my heart for the state of South Dakota. I absolutely love it. I lived there for a while when I was in middle and high school, and someday I'm going to live there again. But St. Joseph's Indian School in Chamberlain, South Dakota, was the recipient of a couple hundred hats that Miss Lois Carter had hand knitted in her time during the lockdown. And she's spending her time, she doesn't do it all day long every day, but while she's watching her evening programs on the television, she's knitting away and doing an awesome thing. So again, I always appreciate when ordinary people are doing extraordinary things. And if you want to see more about the Lois Carter's story and how she's knitting and donating these hats to the school out there in Chamberlain, South Dakota, check out our show notes, and I'll have a link to that article from the U.S. News and World Report. That will be in the show notes, and you can read more about Lois Carter's story there. So, feel good story, great story. Check it out. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this week's episode. Like I said, did get a little bit longer than I expected, but you know what? I think we covered some very important things, and I hope you got something out of it. I do, again, want to ask, what have you done today to make your life a better life? What have you done today to make the world a better place? Because it really is up to you to make that happen. So with that, I'm going to say, when you do get out amongst the people, be kind to one another, be grateful for everything that you've got, and remember, it's up to you to make each and every day the day that you want it to be. So from all of us here at Wilkes World, please check us out on Facebook, Twitter. Email me at wilk@wilkesworld.com if you got a story that you think I'd like to read, or you just want to comment something about the show. Check us out. Look us up in the show notes. From everybody here at Wilkes World, I want to express a very heartfelt thank you for all the support. And with that, I'm going to back on out of here. Catch you next week.